The Washington Nationals get the series sweep against the Miami Marlins, but more importantly, Nasim Nunez got the call back up to the major leagues. And a lot of people out there think that he makes this team better. And I'm going to tell you this, I agree.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me on Twitter at RyanClary11 and also look up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcasts. Again, search us up wherever you get your pods, including over on YouTube. And later on in today's show, I've got to just talk about this. Maybe I think people care about it. The Nationals have an attendance issue right now. Looking at the attendance over the past few days, it's been alarming. I think it says a lot about the organization. We'll discuss that later on in the show today. In the second segment, we actually talked about the front office on yesterday's show. And also yesterday, Danny Haas, the senior vice president of amateur scouting, has left his role with the Washington Nationals and will be going up to the Orioles. Is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? I'll lay out both those situations in the second segment of today's program. But we start off discussing Nasim Nunez. I'm going to tell you why he makes this team just a little bit better. But this episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament, and it ends on October 31st, 2025. So Nasim Nunez, first and foremost of yesterday's game, I think Nasim Nunez does, in fact, make the Washington Nationals a better team. And also, let's just add for this, Nasim Nunez's performance yesterday, filling in at shortstop for CJ Abrams, he was incredible. We know Nasim Nunez has a cannon for an arm over at that shortstop position. We know he is a stud defensively, truly one of the better defensive shortstops in the game today. He is that good defensively. But then yesterday we saw him bring out the power, not just his first home run in Major League Baseball, but all of Nasim Nunez makes this team better in many, many different ways. But let's start with the on-field antics here. Or not antics, the on-field good stuff, we could even say. Nasim Nunez, defensively, is exactly what this team needs. He is that steady Eddie guy where you know what you are going to get with him. You know that he is going to make the hard plays. You know that he is going to make the easy plays. You know that he is going to make every single play out there, and he can fill all the range from that shortstop position. If you put him in center field, as we saw earlier this year, he looked really good there. Again, never played the outfield, doesn't have an outfielder's glove, went into center field and looked awesome. He is a stud defender for the Nationals. He belongs up in the major leagues. Do not get it twisted by any means necessary. You have to have someone of Nunez's caliber on your team. And if you are building a team surrounded by a lot of offensive first guys like CJ Abrams, Luis Garcia Jr., James Wood, and in some cases what we thought Dylan Cruz could be, but also like Akiba Ruiz, even down behind the dish. You still have to have your defensive experts in there. Nasim Nunez fills that role. He is the perfect utility man for the Washington Nationals for what he does on the field. He's not going to go out there and hit for power. We know that. He's not going to really hit for average even. We understand that. His tools offensively are not great. They are well below average, and they certainly need some work. But he is so good defensively. And not only defensively, but also on the base paths, that this guy has that winning recipe in him. One thing that we have not even had to mention is what he provides in the clubhouse and off the field. One thing that a lot of people do in many different ways, I like body language. Have you ever looked over at Nasim Nunez and questioned whether this guy's in a good mood or not? Have you ever seen the camera turn to him in the dugout, or whether he's at shortstop or second base, and with him, the frown on his face? You never see that. The vibe that he brings, again, this is some hard-hitting analysis here, but the vibe that he brings, I do think helps this Nationals team. And again, we're not going to make the playoffs because of Nasim Nunez. He's not going to be a part of the core foundation of this team for the next 5-6 years. That's not what I'm asking from Nasim Nunez. But one thing is clear, is that he does bring a little bit of joy to this clubhouse, of which a season that was drained of all the joy from the players, from the fans, from the organization. Mike Rizzo was fired. Davey Martinez was also fired. You've had that joy back a little bit. And it was actually fun watching the Nationals whip up on the Marlins these past few days. We talked about it on Monday's show. We were saying, or at least I was saying, I cannot wait to not watch this 2025 Nationals team. Over the past 3 days, this kind of helped bring my joy back a little bit. And I'm not saying it's all because of what Nasim Nunez did. You got some really good pitching performances like yesterday from Mitchell Parker. Probably should have gotten his first win since early July, but unfortunately had some errors there up in the middle infield thanks to Luis Garcia. But we've seen it now. Nunez does help this team in a way that I think stats can't really comprehend. He brings a joy to the clubhouse. People love the guy. He's just kind of out there doing his own thing and enjoying every single day. That has a part on a team that is trying to rebuild. Think back to 2019. Brian Dozier. Brian Dozier, at that point in time, had no business being on that 2019 Nationals team. He was not good defensively. He was not good offensively either. And in fact, probably held back the Nationals just a little bit to start out the 2019 season. Nasim Nunez is a much better defender. Now, Brian Dozier put together some really good years in Minnesota and bounced around from a couple different teams. So he's a veteran guy that you bring in the clubhouse. And the reason why you bring him in the clubhouse is because he kind of has that leadership role. He kind of has that feel-good mentality that a lot of different teams need. Nasim Nunez kind of fits that Brian Dozier role, of which this year's Brian Dozier, you could say. I love Nasim Nunez. Love the guy. I think he actually does benefit the Nationals in ways not just defensively and on the base pass, but also off the field. You see the joy. C.J. Abrams and James Wood dumping the Gatorade on him yesterday after hitting 2 home runs in the post-game press conference. Those are things that you just kind of like to see. Because I read Twitter. We all read Twitter. Everyone always comes for James Wood. They say James Wood has bad body language. James Wood does not want to be here. It's so obvious. But when Nasim Nunez is out there, he seems a lot happier to me. I think there's a role on this team for Nasim Nunez. And again, he might not be a starter for you down the road. He might not even be really that great of a bench player for you down the road. But there's a role for him on this team for me. So hopefully going into the rest of the season, he's going to stay up and hopefully he does well because honestly, I'm rooting for him at this point in time. But real quick also, yesterday's game was great. The Nationals slugged their way to a win. You saw Robert Hassel double it with a double off the wall, followed by a Brady House bomb for his 3rd home run of the season. And I wanted to point this out real quick because we've kind of hit home on Brady House a lot. He's slugging .455 over his last 7 games. You're starting to see him get a little bit more comfortable. He looks good over at third base. And really this last month, I think will be really big for his confidence heading into the offseason. He has struggled. We all know it. He knows it. The Nationals know it. Miguel Cairo knows it. Mike DiBartolo knows it. And you and I know it. But Brady House has the talent to really pick things up. So over these next few weeks, I really want to see what that power does because, again, it feels as if he's starting to turn a corner, and it feels as if the Nationals are finally going to hit their power right-handed bat back in the lineup and looking the way that we all thought he could look, which is to be a very good hitter. So thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen. Next, let's talk about this. Danny Haas, the senior of amateur scouting for the senior vice president of amateur scouting for the Washington Nationals, has left the organization, and he was not fired, but he has left the Nationals. A lot of things could be made from this. I'm going to lay out two scenarios for you and kind of get into what I believe happened in that scenario. We'll talk about that after this. And yes, let me tell you about our friends at 5 Hour Energy. And it's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5 Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor that you love without ever leaving the green. And I can tell you this weekend, I'm going to the golf courses and I've already got my 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It tastes good. You get that grape lime taste out on the golf course, and also it just energizes you. And also it makes the round a lot more fun. Given that energy, you feel good, and you also play good. So golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape ginger lime flavor is a 5 Hour Energy Transfusion, gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And yes, if you have not done so already, look up Locked On Nationals on Apple, Spotify, and of course, the video version over on YouTube. Again, look up Locked On Nationals. Danny Haas has left the Washington Nationals after just a handful of seasons. He was actually hired to be the Nationals VP of Amateur Scouting back in 2023. He was part of the revamped front office here in town, and a lot of people credited him in kind of running the Nationals draft and obviously overseeing their scouting operations. But I'm kind of left confused here because, again, this kind of came out of left field. I did not expect him to leave with a month left in the season. Maybe he would have left this offseason, would have been a little less surprising. But heading into this offseason, the Nationals are obviously expected to completely gut their front office, but also maybe not gut it, also maybe revamp it. So there's two different scenarios here at play as to kind of what I'm thinking with. The number one scenario is this. Maybe there is someone internally, whether it be from Lerner ownership group or Mike DeBartolo or who knows at this point, kind of telling Danny Haas, hey, man, you're going to finish out the season with the Nationals, but also we're going to move off you at the deadline. So maybe you should go look elsewhere for jobs. That's scenario number one. That might be the most likely scenario here. But also at this time, you have to think about the counter to that. Is this Danny Haas jumping ship to go to a better organization for basically the same job from what we have heard? He is going to the Baltimore Orioles, and yes, unfortunately, they are the better organization at this point in time. I feel as if this is kind of him jumping ship from the Washington Nationals. And also, that may not matter to you, but that matters to me. It matters to me because of this. The Nationals used to be an organization people would not jump ship from. This used to be an organization that would be kind of a magnetic pull from other organizations and get their scouts in our building. We used to be that organization where we could get the top talented guys. This feels to me right now that number one and number two might just be both correct. I think Danny Haas likely would have been part of possibly the Nationals gutting their operations department, number one, this offseason, but also number two, of him being like, okay, you're going to fire me? Awesome. I was going to be leaving anyways. It just doesn't necessarily feel good at this point. And the way that it was put out there, he was not fired. And I feel as if there would have been a report within the Nationals of someone saying, yeah, you know what? Like, he was likely going to be out this offseason also. That is yet to come. Obviously, there's a whole month to go until we really start talking about the front office here in town. But to me, it kind of feels like both can be true here. And it feels like, in my opinion, that both are true. That the Nationals are a mess. And that a lot of people in baseball operations at this point, whether really bright or not, are probably looking to go elsewhere. This might be good for people out there who want a complete clean slate as far as their front office goes. It might just be that. But also, the counter point of this is maybe no one really wants to be here. And unfortunately, that is a real scenario as well. I feel as if, though, that Danny Haas leaving the organization isn't necessarily a bad look on him, but it's more of a bad look on the Nationals organization. And again, I hate to be that guy. I hate to be so negative about this team, but look around us. Who truly wants to be a Washington National at this point? And that is a harsh thing to say that a lot of people may just say, you suck, Ryan, and that's awesome. If you think I suck, more power to you. But it doesn't feel good. And how would it feel good? How could you sit here today and say, you know what? This team, it's a mess, but it's my mess. That's not how people think in baseball. While, yes, you are employed by the Washington Nationals, players and front office people and coaches, they look at themselves as being employed by Major League Baseball. That's the reality of the situation. So if Danny Haas really felt as if I'm going to leave this mess, I'm going to go join an organization that has had way more recent success than what we have had in town, I could buy that, number one. But I could also buy the Nationals having Danny Haas wanting to leave, number one. But also, number two, the Nationals saying, listen, man, we're going to clean house. So to kind of get in on what could be happening here, I think Danny Haas leaving for the organization may not be the best thing out there. But also, I'm sorry, I just got so distracted. There's a cat that just climbed up behind me here. So that's always fun. You can check that out over on YouTube if you want to. But if Danny Haas leaves this organization, then what is next? I'm sorry, I'm so distracted. There is a cat in the background of this video. We'll jump back after this. Back to the point at hand here on Locked On Nationals. I feel as if that right now, the Nationals will likely clean house this offseason, and that is the correct decision. Now, that does not mean the Nationals are going to move off Mike DeBartolo. I still believe that the Nationals will go into this offseason saying that Mike DeBartolo will be the guy. And you know what? I'm fine with that. If they believe that Mike DeBartolo is the guy to be the GM, but also while weighing all the other options out there, I'm perfectly okay with that. So, keep in mind with this, I would not be totally surprised if the Nationals completely start renew. And I don't think it's the worst case scenario at all by any stretch of the imagination. So Danny Haas leaves for the Baltimore Orioles. And again, he was not fired. He left the organization, which I believe is a very key term that was used by Andrew Golden of the Washington Post. So thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And yes, we are brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. So next, let's get into this. The Nationals have an attendance issue. And I'll just say this, it's not on the fans. Again, This is on the organization. Let's jump into that after this. There is nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, but actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. It takes all the fun out of it, and that is why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price that you pay. And the app is made super simple. I can even see the exact view from my seat before buying, and fees are included. So know your total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. That is my favorite feature. And also, it's just faster, cheaper, and also less stressful than when I've bought tickets from other sites out there. So use our friends at Gametime, and you can download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And yes, we are the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. So let's get into this. The Nationals have an attendance issue. 2 nights ago, I believe that the announced attendance was around like 12, 13,000, but Spencer Nussbaum of the Washington Post posted a picture, and I can tell you this, I will eat my microphone if there was 13,000 fans in that game 2 days ago on Tuesday night. And then yesterday, for a Wednesday day game in DC, right after Labor Day weekend against the Miami Marlins, the announced attendance was 11,190 fans. I'm not even kidding when I say this. The post that Spencer Nussbaum, again, of the Washington Post, had on Twitter, take a look at that picture yesterday, right at first pitch. You could literally count the amount of fans in the stands that day. You might think I'm kidding, but I'm really not. There are more sections that are empty than there are more sections that have people in it. The Washington Nationals, even through this rebuild, have always drawn some really good crowds. And let me just say this, the paid attendance, which is what they announce, is always different compared to what the actual attendance is. No team out there actually announces the real attendance, besides maybe the Dodgers, because they draw 40,000 people every single night. But this is an issue for the Nationals. And it's not with the Nationals fans. I've seen some people out there kind of go in and be like, Nationals fans should be ashamed of themselves. Absolutely not. The way that you fan is the way that you fan. You should be a fan the way that you want. And what this screams to me, people are fed up. They are so tired of what has been going on here in DC. They are tired of having a 100-loss season. They are tired of going through this rebuild that has now taken really since 2021 to begin. This is a long, drawn-out process, but I can tell you this right now. I think I said this earlier this season, and I can say it for a fact right now. This fan base has never been as checked out as it is this season. And that is not a bad thing, by the way. That is a direct reflection of the organization. Now, do I think the Nationals will lose fans from this? I don't think so, but they have certainly lost interest, and that's okay. Guess what? Baseball is a long season. I watch every single game. I'm a fan, but I also cover this team. It's my job. Even if I wasn't covering the team, I'd still choose to watch this team, and I would still choose to go to games. But the last thing that I will do is go to the fans and say, shame on you for not showing up. If this is kind of the way that you want to protest the ownership and kind of the way that things have been going this season, then good for you. You fan the way that you want to fan, and I respect that. But also, at the same token, this is a reflection on the Nationals and their ownership. This would not happen And even when the Nationals were as bad as they were in 2022, the attendance was never that big of an issue. We saw it really early on after the Nationals traded away Juan Soto. Obviously, the attendance was way down, but it wasn't this bad. Again, you have traded away Max Scherzer and Trey Turner and Juan Soto and heck, even Lane Thomas last year. But fans have still showed up. This is a reflection of the ownership. This is not a reflection of trading Juan Soto. This is not a reflection of people being mad at James Wood or being mad at Abrams and Gore and Brady House and Dylan Cruz and Robert Hassel and Dalen Lyle. The list goes on and on. But ownership, that's what this means to me. So seeing the last few days, as far as attendance goes, I'm really interested to see, maybe it's not just the Marlins on a day game series here. Maybe this is a real thing that fans are really just simply fed up with. So we will try to keep watching that moving forward. But until then, you guys have a day off and football begins tonight. So, of course, I will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one. Go Nats.